Okay, 6 o'clock. Nick, can you do the honors?
All right. Kim Pearson.
Here.
Susie Hiley.
Here.
Megan Brewer.
Here.
Brandon Williams.
Here.
And Dr. Brian Burke.
Here.
Beautiful, thank you. Meeting minutes, Kim, Catherine will never be here, Dr. Barney, so I think we can perform from per minutes.
I'll move we approve the May 13th minutes.
Second. All in favor of approving the May 13th minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? May minutes are approved. No old business, and so excited to hear about the new business.
Yeah, so at the Public Works Committee meeting last week, we received 3 bids. So this is a copy of, or the synopsis of what we received. If you recall from our last meeting, our budget was estimated to be about 1.7 million. So we were excited to see this one. However, there's parts that were not included in the bid that were owner provided. So what I've done is these sub things kind of need to be worked out before we take any action on the actual recommendation. So to review the budget, we had the park bond, we had the ARPA dollars, where we kind of, if you recall, we tied in the Hannah Street storm project, which we had budgeted, Mark had budgeted about 2 years ago at $320,000. When we broke out the $1.5 million bid that we received, about $398,846 of that was storm work. So that included Hannah Street and the park portion for the parking. So Mark is fine with absorbing that additional money. So with the $398,000, he had about $320,000 budgeted. So it wasn't a lot more for him just to cover that. That gave us $2.2 million, going down to what the project cost would be. So the bid that we are able to consider tonight was the 1.5 million. Play equipment came in at 278. If you recall, we had a little over 300,000 budgeted for play equipment. With our discount through the co-op purchasing by going to all compound, we saved about $47,000. So that was a good deal for us. The shelter that was spec'd out in the plans was about $36,000. Here's the caveat to the whole day, and we'll be fine here. So the restroom spec'd out, we had a meeting this morning, was $91,646. This was not the, I was really looking at RomTech, which I felt was very customizable, but their cost was near double what this one was. So this is the exact same bathroom system that's at Geist Waterfront Park. If you want to swing by and look at it, just do it during the week so they don't charge you. Come on, nothing, Dr. Bernie. Come on. That was a good joke. But the same system. We did have a call this morning. That is pretty baseline for the restroom. So there was a upgraded China package. We don't really know what that means, so we've asked some questions on that. We've also asked for some upgraded like faux stone or brick options. So they're getting to that. We have a meeting with both the playground / shelter restroom provider and Context on Thursday to kind of finalize this. So that being said, that restroom number might go up from there. The install is included in the base bid, but we want to make sure that we get the restroom we want. So there's a few options we're still looking at. Plenty of wiggle room at the end of this to do that, but we'll let you know what that difference is in there. Because this is, as spec'd at the 91, it is all cedar with a roof line and the interior. It's basic, and it's a double with a storage room in the back for utilities.
Well, you know that cedar's going to attract carpenter bees around here, and they don't bite or bother you, but people don't know that.
People don't like
they
them.
look heavy duty, and it like freaks them.
And there's an ongoing maintenance to see. I love cedar. I'm a big fan of cedar, but you have to stain it once a year or every 2 years to keep the color in or it grays, which is one of the reasons we want to look at some of the faux stone brick options on it versus the cedar. We don't care if there's a little bit, but the way it was presented was all cedar.
And that storage room's really important, to have a place to put stuff, and that's also how we get to the people who are having a problem there when the door's locked, with a entrance through that.
That was one of the pushes we had on this. The way they configured, originally the bathrooms were, you entered on the sides and there was a chase, and I didn't really like that. The thing I liked about the Romtex were the doors were on the front and the access to the plumbing and everything was in the workroom.
Yeah,
And so that's how it's configured now.
They have to lock when somebody's in there, but if a kid hits their head and then goes in there and has a seizure, we have to be able to get to them quickly. There's all kinds of key systems, but I really like the idea of just having a door from the storage area in the back, and you could come in through that, and anybody could have a key to that needed to, and you could even probably leave the one door open, and you could just walk right in if you needed to get somebody. Nobody would really know it was there.
Yeah.
But it has to be secured so we don't get like
And that storage room,
migrants.
to Dr. Bernie's point, will have, if we have a water heater, I'm not sure we will or won't, the electric service in, the IT in, so we have camera service, that's where it'll be housed in that room. If we need a water softener out there by chance, I'm not sure what our water quality is around here, so that's where we're gonna put that stuff, and then if we need a little bit of storage for some maintenance and stuff. So it's not a huge room, but it's as big as we could put in there, because I think we're gonna not regret having a little additional storage utility room there, so.
And all the storage you can get.
And then remaining consulting contracts, so that is the Veritas Context original bid that we've been paying out of ARPA. There's about 15 left of that. So all in, with the caveat of the restroom, was about 1.9 million. With the money for stormwater, that brought us under on our park remaining, which is ARPA and park bond, of about 254,000, which is what we were hoping for, to be able to do some of those one-off cleanup items at McCord Square. So this gives us not everything we were hoping to do, but it gives us some room to really get McCord Square opened up, as well as do the full contract for phase one. So we feel very comfortable with the numbers. Any questions on budgetary items? The other bids were obviously higher.
Were you expecting more than 3, or was that what you thought?
No, we had a pre-bid meeting and we had 2 people show up, so the third was actually a surprise. You never know. You could have got, we got a lot more. We opened bids for our community crossing paving grants the same day, and we got like 7 or 8. So there were a lot of people there. We weren't sure which ones were parks and which ones were community crossing, but we were happy to get 3. I will say that, is sometimes you don't get 3.
Did you just go low bid only, or is there any like discussion between?
Yeah, we went low bid only. If we're going to kind of go back to here, that was the only one that would fit our budget. These other 2 would have pushed us over, where we would have either been looking for money or had to cut something. So this was the only one that really fit within what we wanted to do. And when we do ask for approval of the bid, we're going to accept both alternatives, which one is a utility service change, which is the -1,000, and timeline, which I'll talk about here in just a second. So we want to do the expedited timeline, which was alternate 2.
Any experience with them in the past?
Only that the representative is Tom.
Oh,
So we know him very well.
fair enough.
Tom Strayer. He was the one that was there for the bid opening, Smith Group. So we feel pretty confident he'll want to say,
Yes,
do the
he'll
right
see through.
thing. So.
Yep.
So we need some discussion on this next one. The one I said the one caveat was the restroom. The other one is this issue. So several of the bids went out there and looked at the sign relocation. Now they have a minimal amount in there for the sign relocation. And we'll let Stan talk. Did you introduce yourself at the beginning?
Oh, no. I'm Stan, I'm the Parks Director. Nice to meet everybody. I've met most of you, so. But, yeah, so I went out there. The bricks on it, a lot of them are kind of crumbling and falling apart. I'd be really concerned if trying to move it and actually keep it in one piece. I think if they do move it, they're gonna have to take it into probably 3 different pieces to move it, and how's it gonna go back together, and is it really gonna stay together? And would it stay within that budget that we've kind of set for, which was
No.
$5,000, and I don't think it would.
$5,000 might make the hill.
You know what? Like, looking at this picture, like, it's ugly, and no one knows what it is.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, could we do something with some of it?
So-
like, somehow pay an homage to old school, or explain why it's named Old School Park, like something, like.
So we have old pictures. This was kind of the old entrance to the school that burned down at the site, Old School Park.
So at
However,
that-
it's-
At that particular spot. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
well, however, if you look at the old pictures, this was recreated to look, it's the same material. I think they used the actual material. It's not the exact same entry door because there's some differences on the limestone. You can see the old pictures. However, that's kind of the discussion I want to have because the material's not in great shape. You can see cracks in some of the limestone. As Stan said, a lot of the bricks are deteriorating. So all the contractors that went out and looked at it says, we have no idea how we're going to move this. So your option is disassemble, reassemble, or I think there are bits and pieces though. I think we could do a nice signage where we keep, I think you can absolutely keep the old school part up front and utilize some of this material. And maybe you make it more of a sign with that in it, but also has a kind of one of those historical marker signs that talks about the history of it. And this is why it's called Old School Park. This is the site of.
Which will all cost more than $5,000, but yes.
It will, but you know, the downside of that, and I have no idea what this bronze sign is in the middle, but we can kind of restructure a sign that makes more sense. There are people that will hate that and that love the history, and this means something to them, and so you will take some backlash on that.
But if we're saving the
I
actual
love the
words,
response.
the old school words, and repurposing that into a new sign with the marker that you were talking about, which I really like that idea.
I do.
Sharing the history, I think is cool.
Do you have any idea what the
I think we
thing in the
could,
middle says, or what it is?
not overly.
Probably says who was school board president when they put it up.
Can we use that public school,
It might.
that cement part to put it on the new shelter? Like over the heading of the new shelter?
And you could, I think it's out of context, and no one would understand what it means, right? So I think having it as part of like an old school park sign with a marker, like, makes sense.
Like maybe like a neighborhood sign, how they're kind of like a monument kind of thing, and have it stand up so you can actually read it, because it's kind of just laying on the ground right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
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 Well, you might be able to apply to the Indiana Historical Board for one of those, their official signs. They're pretty neat.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I can't find it right now, but yeah, we can kind of use the spot we had held that was kind of a recreation of the hill and do some redesign, but the bid's they had very minimal dollars in there, so it'll be a little above and beyond. I shouldn't say a little, it'll be more, but if you're okay with the idea that we will try our best to keep the spirit of the historical nature, but design something that displays the name of the park, but is probably going to be more of like the historical signs.
Yeah. You're right, it's ugly.
Yeah,
It is. It really is.
And you have
That
to,
wasn't
like,
going to be that mean.
I don't know how long it took even got it or knew it or.
So, and it's a replica, and Ryan had a picture of the old sign, we can find it, but it's a replica using the materials of the entranceway to the former school. Is
See
YouTube?
it front line.
Oh, yes, we are, this is getting recorded.
Okay, it's on, it's working.
So, yeah, we'll have a little money in there to maybe prep the area where the new sign could go, so we'd have to design something fairly quick to get it started, but, I don't wanna just, if the direction was figure a way to move it, then we're gonna figure a way to move it.
Well, you know, you probably could put some timbers under it, probably more substantial than 2x4s, but maybe some glue lams of like 2x6s or something on edge, and kind of scrape some dirt under there and work them under there, and kind of like use liquid nails or something to fasten the masonry on, and then you could sort of put some jacks and lift it up another 4 or 5 feet, make it more vertical, and you'd have some framing behind it to support it. Might work.
Somebody gonna climb on that? Oh, you're saying like leave it permanently like that?
Yeah, like put a frame behind it,
Somebody would definitely
make some
climb on that.
substantial timbers under it, and just kind of dig tunnel under it, just keep going and putting liquid nails to, you know, put the masonry onto the wood, and then just jack the wood up so the whole thing stands up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think your concern was that it'll crumble.
I'm just worried about it crumbling.
That's old
I mean,
brick.
I don't know how great the concrete is that's underneath it. It's been sitting there forever, and the bricks definitely on top are rough.
That's
They're,
To
It's
disintegrate.
probably pretty fragile.
I mean, that thing's, the school was there a long time ago. I don't remember the exact
Yeah,
date.
it burned down during a football game under suspicious circumstances when
Yeah.
McCordsville played Fortville.
The actual story of the school is pretty fascinating, and
It
yeah.
wouldn't be neat to have a sign that was kind of telling the story of the school and everything else, and kind of
Yeah.
the history of it.
We'd find some artifacts and, you know, news
Yeah.
articles on it.
Yeah, and we can save what we can save to incorporate a new sign. I feel like moving it's going to be difficult. So we'll take a look at it. If the direction
If
from
we're on this nice new park, it should have a nice new, like, prominent sign, right? That kind of markets and advertises what it is.
yeah, I don't disagree.
I wonder if you could if it just come apart a brick at a time, and then you could like rebuild it vertical on a, make it more stable, you know, and just stack it up, then move it one brick at a time
Well, it's basically what I think you'd have to
onto a
do.
foundation, you know, so it'd have something under it.
I think what Stan's saying is the bricks are kind of disintegrating.
And they're not original
Right.
bricks, correct?
I think my guess is they are. My assumption is this was all material from the original school, but I can't.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask somebody who would know.
I don't think it was the original entryway, but I think everything
It was
that
the-
is in that
there
is
was the original.
product from the school.
Yeah, it's not
That
the
was
original entryway. It was.
reconstructed,
I think it was material from the school that was to create the feel of the. Because, like I said in the picture, there's actually on these right here, the limestone. There's little bump outs periodically that are not on here. So this is not the original.
Yeah.
It was
That's not really
actually
wide
decorated.
enough to be a door into a school.
Might be worth asking a brick mason what they could do with it.
There are actual original bricks underground. When I talked to Nick, he said every time they dig out there, they're digging up bricks.
I'm sure.
So you mean there's bricks in that dirt pile underneath it?
Well,
Not necessarily
around
that dirt
the
pile,
park.
around
Throughout-
the
throughout
park.
the park.
Yeah, there's
From
From
lots.
what we
Also, maybe when we redo the park, that we'll get more bricks out.
Well, from what we're hearing, that could be the case where they start digging stuff up and digging holes, and they might find. From what we hear, is the school was basically just like pushed in.
Yeah.
Maybe they just pushed it into the basement, you know, it's all down there.
Yep.
We're hoping for some luck on that one. So all right, we'll look at some options there, and we know that in that one, just know in that $1.5 million bid, there was, I think it was like $5,000 for sign relocation, which is not going to relocate that sign. But they also they did come to us and ask us, what do you want to do with this? And we're like, we want to be sensitive of the history, and we understand people like it, but on the flip side, we need to be reasonable with expectations. So, okay, thank you. Timing a project. So essentially, if you saw in the bid tabulation, alternate 2 was the expedited schedule. We had the whole discussion about the rubberized playground and flooring can only be poured at very specific times. The reason that there's no change is that Smith Projects bid was to have this done by the end of the year anyways. So the expedited timeline was their timeline anyways.
Great.
Whereas the others had, this one it was interesting. One was -20 and one was +20. I'm not sure why in those two, but that being said, if we don't, the last thing we really need to talk about. So our intent is to move forward. Like, let's get this thing moving, order the playground equipment, and try to get this done. Worst case scenario would be there's a delay in the playground equipment, it didn't get installed, and we miss a window. And in that case, we'd simply have to fence off the playground equipment till we get a poor day as soon as we can. We're hoping to avoid that. We feel like by going to the compan, the timeline should allow us to do it. You just never know what curveball gets thrown. Maybe they find a school that was buried under the ground and delays the whole thing. I don't know. So that being said, our next play, assuming that we approve this tonight, would be we need to agree on the playground color choice so that we can order the playground equipment. So at the last meeting, this is what's presented, the brown and green, which we liked and which is what we presented to you because it's the theme of this kind of leaves and rustic kind of naturey feel of the park. You had requested to see that equipment. This is the 2 to 5 playground, by the way, in our as close as we could get to our branding colors, which on their color scheme was a dark blue and kind of a goldish yellow. Not quite the same, but you kind of get the feel. So this is what that looked like. I know Stan, I think, put out there, he had concerns about the dark blue getting hot. If we go back to the color wheel, I mean, there's a million choices, but that was kind of the direction we got the last one. There was a light blue, but it's really off from what our light blue is, so we didn't add that in there. And our other stuff are off-white. We didn't really want to put white playground equipment on there. That doesn't feel like a great option. So our recommendation to you is for this particular park to stay with the nature theme of the brown and green, but you tell us what you prefer.
So I was this weekend at the Carmel Park, the one by the Bonon Center that has the 4 shelters. Well, for my nephew's birthday party, but I was there checking out the playground as well. And they have this same system. And so I was feeling everything to see if it felt hot, and I was making my daughter, who's taller than I am, go down all these slides and tell me what she thought of them, because she's 12, but she's really tall, kid for 12. And it was a beautiful day, and the kids were all running around, and theirs does have a navy component. I thought I took a big picture of it, and now I'm not sure if I see it anywhere. If you guys want to pass around and see. It does have a navy component, and it was not hot, which was great, I thought. And then I also checked out those fabrics because I was very concerned with the fabric. But I don't know what that is made out of. It feels more rubberized.
Yeah, there's no fat. I did
really
check on
thick.
that. These are actually more rubberized.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing you asked for was none of it is fabric, so it should
Which
be
is-
pretty durable.
which is great.
Which is what we didn't. We didn't want fabric of any sort.
The only thing that I really even noticed was that they have these, I don't know, I guess it's sort of a shade thing, but it's up pretty
Like
high.
the sails.
Yes, and those looked really weathered, but that was really the only component, and I don't know if that was the same material as the climbing parts.
Yeah, and this was added from last time. This is when we asked for the rooftop shelter, so they had a little bit of cover. That's what the addition was. So besides that, it's the same piece of equipment.
I like the green and the brown. I think it looks more natural. I don't know. I was concerned about the temperature thing too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I was just like,
interesting.
generally, darker it is, the hotter it is. But also, I will say, like any type of plastic stuff like that, when it gets cut or scratched, the darker it is, because it generally like kind of peels up white. It really shows those scratches on a darker material versus something that's lighter,
Mm-hmm.
which could help it look nicer longer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to look at the color wheel at all?
I looked at it earlier.
Okay.
So I personally don't like the green, but I also don't have a strong enough opinion to make an argument for it. So
I like the kind of orange and blue, like our logo, yellow and blue.
But I
I
would
think
question if
that's
that's
impactful.
the almost looks like the medium blue and not the dark blue.
I think it's the navy.
It is definitely, yeah. I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, that doesn't like the.
It seems really vibrant.
Well, it's the medium.
I think they're both blues. And
Actually, yeah. Now you say that
It's got
because
the dark
the
and
medium's
the-
closer. Yeah,
Mhm.
dark.
And the dark blue is what I believe that they had, that I was looking at this weekend.
The dark blue, like here.
That's what it looked
Is it
like.
Yeah, that's what it looked like too in the
Mhm.
picture.
I didn't realize there were the two there. Let me.
Yes. I mean, and I have to admit, I did kind of
I would
like
say that
the
looks-
lime green.
Yeah.
I love the lime green and
Accent.
blue.
Here
I
you can
really
see.
like that.
I think you can see the two. This is the
Yeah.
dark blue, and this is the medium blue.
Oh,
I don't think
Sorry.
I really care one way
I
or
don't-
the other enough
Oh,
to
sure.
argue for it.
I don't either.
Okay.
Does that help?
I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's gonna come to
Dark
the-
blue.
like,
This is
the
probably
term
more.
color coming back.
Well, I mean, look on the wall. That's our color there. This is the. Oh, however, this is closer to our. We do have a lighter blue. This is somewhat closer to it. If that helps. The dark is really dark.
the dark one. I'm not a giant fan of the brown, but I get the concept. Of
Yeah, it's the-
idea of looking like trees. I get
Yeah, it
it.
looks like trees.
I like brighter colors, I just think they're happier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The lime green's good. I think the blue and yellow is good too.
Yeah, I have no problem with this, and I don't know, there's no reason that as we develop future parks, we can theme them whatever way you guys want to theme them, absolutely.
Is there any color palette that is less expensive than another color palette? Is one special order and one is standard?
Nope, this is their standard color charts, so we can get whatever we want.
Well, one thing, you know, the kids in school collect the plastic bottle caps, and then they send them off to get made into benches. It's one of the fundraising projects they have. And I think that the blue probably goes more in line with the colors that are available on those benches. If you're aware of the recycled plastic benches that kids in elementary school kind of doing this project for a year, they collect all this plastic and it goes off and gets made into a bench, which is very durable and nice. And I think the blue ones are pretty much the colors they come up with because they can't like call all the colors out of those bottle caps. So there's probably 2 or 3 free benches coming to this park from elementary school fundraising sometime, and they'd probably be more likely to
I'm
be
gonna do my
blue.
best.
Although not necessarily that blue, but
No, it says the slides only come in these 6 colors. So,
Sorry, that was the wrong one.
do you have the 5 to 12 playground?
That's what I was actually just looking for. I do, I was gonna find it.
Because maybe that'll help.
So this one is closer, we'd want to adjust that a little bit, but this is the 5 to 12 playground, which was already in blues.
Mhm.
So we could, and it had the gray slides, which is,
Do you know what I think would help?
we
this
could stay
green?
more with this color scheme and just match it with the other one and keep our equipment. This green wouldn't be green then, this would be in line with this color, which it has if I'm not mistaken, this is showing, it's got some of the medium blue and then the real light blue. But we could keep in that theme and
I like that color scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other one that.
And then the swings be that lime green.
Mm-hmm.
Different colors, so.
we could work on that. We could incorporate in possibly some of the gold or darker blue too if we wanted to mix it up a little bit and keep the theme, because this kind of color, if we like this.
I like that. And honestly, I think the green would be better if maybe it's the brown posts, like we just change them to like a gray. Maybe it not be so
yes,
like,
recycled benches.
I'll pull that one back up. Cause I mean, we kind of picked, whoa, let me zoom out there a little bit. We kind of originally picked this one. We liked the height of it, but we also didn't mind the color scheme of it. So
Yeah, I like
it's not
that. I like
exactly,
that
I
a
wouldn't
lot.
call it our branding, but that doesn't mean it needs to be.
and I think it's fine. I like the lime green too.
Well, these gray benches will go with anything, so.
Yeah.
And then maybe just stick with the blue and yellow for the younger kids, and then switch the slide to gray. That way, if we're gonna do gray slides in that one in the same color.
We could,
I don't know how
you could get rid of the
one
yellow
piece
and
of
go
gray
to
on
a
an
blue and a
entire-
gray here.
Do what's that?
You could get rid of the yellow and just do blue and gray. If that's more in line with this. Like I don't think that'd look bad.
I like
I like that too.
And then the swinging structure, leave that as the lime green.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't have to do that. We could match it, or you tell me what you want.
I like it.
You like the lime green?
Mhm.
Kim, do you like lime green? Do you really?
I love that color combination of light blue and
And-
lime green.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
the blue and it's the gray across
Yeah,
the top.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Keep the blue and
somewhere
get rid
in
of the
this
gold.
realm for this stuff, because we'll have to make
Like, fine, like,
color
it's just
choices.
fun. Like, it's so cheerful. Like,
Yeah.
So then
Mhm. I
change
think so
this
too.
gold stuff to gray and just leave it how it is. That way everything kind of matches.
yeah, well, it needs to go light blue and lime green.
So you want to leave,
What's that?
just make sure
The 2
I'm
to 5.
100% clear
I
here.
think it should all match.
I think so too.
All ages should match colors.
All ages. So the 2 to 5 should match this
Yes.
Color
bigger
scheme.
thing here.
Yes.
But you want the swings to be the lime green with the light blue and gray.
Yes.
So you want to incorporate the lime green in with this, but not really change that. And then the 2 to 5 would match the playground, but then the swing set and the bouncer stuff down here would be the lime green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one-off stuff would be the lime green, gray, and light blue,
Yep.
and then the playground equipment would be the bluish gray color scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the larger one would not have lime green, is that?
Yeah, the playground
Not the
equipment would not
structure.
have, the structures would not have any lime green in it.
I like that. So all the one-off stuff, like the bouncers and swing sets, got the lime green and the gray.
And it's not too many, you don't think that's too many colors?
Eh.
I like it.
Fair
Have you
enough.
seen kids with a box of crayons? They
Oh
use
my
every
goodness.
single one of them.
Okay, we'll work off that, and is that the consensus of the board? Everyone feels comfortable with that? That's what we'll do then. We'll probably flip you guys if they give us a final package before we say order. We'll make sure you're comfortable with it, but that's the direction we'll give. All right, so we did color, timeline, corner sign, relocation discussion, budget. So with that, our recommendation is to accept the Smith project, award the Smith project's bid on the old school park. And what we'd look for in a motion is, because this will go to council tomorrow night as well, is we would want to award the old school park and Hannah Street drainage improvements to JKES Inc., doing business as Smith Projects, to include the base bid and both alternatives, or both alternates, sorry, and authorize the town council president to sign off on the award for both entities. So instead of having us come in, there's a form, is it Form 96, I think it's called, that has to be signed authorizing it. So you can have someone from your group sign it, but you can also authorize the town council president to act on your behalf.
So we need to say that.
Can I say so moved?
You can say so moved if you
like,
so like.
would you like me to say
Please
it?
say what he said.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
so sorry. My question was regarding the bathrooms one more time. So
Yes.
if
I don't know that I have that.
that extra fluff added to the bathroom is like, what do we
Well,
think, like 15,000 or 20?
we'll bring back the bathroom portion of that. We have enough room in the budget to
There's
do
like a huge
that.
option list for that.
There's a lot
You
of
can choose-
options.
There's like 100 options or something for it.
I'll second the motion.
I'm looking for
So a motion and I have a second.
If he wants me to verbally say it.
I'm listening.
I tried to write it down.
Discussion.
Tim, do you want that motion verbalized?
You just so moved on what I
Yeah.
recommended, correct?
Yes.
And then, so you can do a second?
We got
All
a
in favor?
second. Susan
Okay.
seconded. So all in favor of approving the bid for Old School Town Park and authorizing town council to sign, excuse me.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved?
All right.
Woohoo.
the main thing on the bathroom that we talked about this morning though is just
I'm trying to find it.
the faux brick coming part way up, and then still having some of the cedar, but that was really the main change off of that 90-something thousand. So I don't think there was really a whole lot of other changes on it. So I don't know that price jump would be tremendous. But like we got a meeting.
Would you look at
Thursday, so.
doing all versus partial? So
We can
there's
get
no win
prices
at all?
on that and see.
I mean,
Yeah.
just to see.
Yeah, I'd be willing to look at it.
I mean, it certainly, I mean, the plus side of that would be you would have the maintenance of trying to keep up on the cedar, so.
Exactly, and kids carving their names into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had concerns on it because the Rontec was entirely blocking, like they built it from scratch. This one they'll bring in kind of pre-made and drop it. The other one was like built on site, but it was also a lot more money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even this is a lot of money for a restroom.
Yeah.
But more in our budget range, so. We must have not had something, we must have been looking at websites.
I think we were looking at her stuff this morning.
So we'll get you more information on the restroom, but I wanted you to be aware that we'll probably come back and do an additional request for the restroom the way we want to see it. So it's.
So I'll just bring the 250 down? The 254?
Yeah, we'll kind of come back. If you remember, I had that project list from last time that had the other projects that we're still looking at, and we'll wait to finalize Old School Park because the priority is Old School Park Phase 1, and then we'll work off of there. So, but we're in good shape. We're happy with the Smith bid. Okay.
Oh, right, public comment? Okay.
I had just a couple ideas I wanted to get reaction to from the Parks Board. And, you know, if you see something you like, maybe it could be developed, and if you don't like it, that's fine. First of all, we have a huge building in McCordsville which is completely empty. Nobody's in it. It's, I don't know, what is that building behind? Is it 500,000 square feet, Stan?
It's 1 million.
Yeah, so we have basically 1 million square feet under roof in McCordsville. It's completely empty, not used for anything. So I thought maybe we could try to lease part of it for a song and get some indoor pickleball and tennis courts and volleyball or whatever under roof in there. And we could always move out if they wanted to use it for something, or we could wind up with part of it. I'm not talking about paying full retail lease, but right now there's nobody in it, not even a night watchman. It's brand new, just sitting there, and they're paying like $2,000 a year in taxes.
Right across from you.
So I thought maybe we could get in there for cheap and have some indoor stuff.
Where is it at?
It's down on Aurora Way.
Yeah, it's off of 600 next to Southworks.
They're not getting any money for anything from it, so anything you got from us would be gravy for them, and we wouldn't bother it any. So it's a possibility. We could put some program in there. Second thing is, I live at Champion Lake, and the west end of Champion Lake is dug out so that it's a natural amphitheater. If you look at it, you could sit on the side of the hill. You could probably put 500 people on there. The sound would be contained by the below-grade nature of the landscape. There's not really neighbors anyhow in that area. The only neighbor is like Outlook Church to the south, and of course they wouldn't be around in the evenings and wouldn't care, and they don't live there. Then there's an island across a short area of water, and a band could be put out there, and we have power out to the island. You could have some music events. There's parking available. We have probably around 100 spaces at Champion Lake. Outlook to the south could be used for parking, and McCordsville Elementary School could be used to the north for parking. So it's a possible venue for music events, which could be shared, I guess, with the HOA, which I know would cooperate. We've talked about that. The other thing there is that lake's about a half-mile long, and it has a special shoreline, so it stays nice and flat. We have tons of swimming lanes there. It's a natural Ironman triathlon site, and we could jointly sponsor one of those to go along with the, like 5K. We have plenty of swimming. There's tons of places to change clothes, biking, bathrooms, parking, you name it. So it could be a triathlon site too.
I like the triathlon concept. What would be the process to be able, that's private lake with, the residents.
Process would be is we just do it like we would do, we have events there like the Indiana State Water Ski Association has a program where they have like a week-long kids water ski clinic, teach kids to water ski, and kids come from all over and sign up for it. And we just close down the lake and let the Water Ski Association do it for the week.
This goes to the HOA then?
Well, there's no revenue really from that, but if
Mhm.
an Ironman came, I'm sure the HOA wouldn't turn down enough to defer our dues, which aren't that much. And then the HOA loves all this stuff. Everybody's, you know, oriented towards sports and that, and all I'd have to do is put a bug in somebody's ear and it could be used. And I've always thought we could have that jointly with the town if we got to the point that we had programmed.
Mhm.
So those are two things that could be done there, which is, I think, could be worked out very easily as parking and facility. The last thing is, whether folks here are aware or not, we have the Vineyard in town, which is a music venue, and that can get quite loud, and some of the residents don't like that. And in town council, we're, you know, considering various ways that we can reach equanimity between the music venue and the neighbors. And I was thinking about all the things that have been proposed, and Brandon, you probably remember some of this conversation from years ago. It's a long-standing issue. It could possibly, I suppose, even degenerate into, you know, some sort of legal battle, in which I would just view that as complete waste of anything that went to attorney's fees. So I was trying to sort of noodle, and you guys, any input you might have would be good too, as to what would be the most winning situation we could have there. And I kind of thought, came up with the idea, I don't know if it's right or not, of having a world-class music venue there that didn't bother the neighbors at all, that you couldn't hear anything. One thing we've learned from our sound engineer is that dirt stops sound, especially mounds of dirt. And one thing we have is lots of dirt here in McCordsville for free. And if you make a big ring of dirt and pile it up so it has sloping sides so people can sit on the inside of the ring, and then you build a stage in the middle which is actually below grade, and you have some detention below that like we have at the Gateway Apartments underneath the building there. You could put your stormwater under there, and you could build a stage down there, put some repeaters at the top of the thing and focus the sound back down onto the people inside, and you could rock and roll in there at 400 decibels and nobody outside it would hear a thing unless they were above it. The neighbors wouldn't hear anything. So I noodled, and this is what it could look like if just built out of dirt, and dirt is cheap and it's $5 a cubic yard to move it. So I just did a project of what it might look like if you made a ring and shielded the neighbors with dirt. And we had a world-class amphitheater where an International Symphony Orchestra would come and play, and we could have, you know, Neil Diamond tribute band or whatever. And maybe the Vineyard would do this on their own, or maybe it could be partnered with Parks. And it's kind of stealing from ourselves, as we tend to do something like that in McCord Square, but that could be a different type of venue than this, which would be a higher level. It doesn't have to look like this, but basically it's a dirt pile. If they sold their site, it would just be graded out. You want to get rid of dirt, you just spread it. So we could have an amphitheater that got 80 acres and nobody next to it would hear anything. And it could integrate with Parks. It could be a solution to our problem. I think that would be the biggest win we could get if we could get a facility like that that totally contained the noise. And with that being made on dirt and a below-grade stage, nothing's gonna come out of it. And I know that because I used to teach sound physics at IU.
Can you pull up on Google Maps, pull up for us to, I'm looking at Champion Lakes and Outlook
Oh,
Church and
I
all
mean,
that.
Yeah, you can pull it up on Google, you can see the lake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really, really innovative idea, but I think that's something that would probably need to be privately funded. Is with town center coming online and everything else we're doing. I mean, if it's like you say, it could be. I mean, that'd be an awesome thing for somebody to invest in and charge for.
Well, maybe the Cooks would decide to do that if we pitched it to them. If the Parks Board really liked it, we could tell them they liked it. If the Parks Board hates it, that's something else. But I just put it out here for a reaction.
Who
See.
owns the land between Outlook Church and Champion Lakes?
Chris Wood owns that section between Outlook and Champion Lake, and I was explaining to Stan that he's willing to sell that ground in there. And Outlook, I think, has some interest in doing
Outlook
something with
owns
the youth
this.
sports park there.
Yeah.
One of the sites we'll look at the sports RFP that Stan will be working on, was this site right in here. Partnering with Outlook is one of the options.
Yeah, they've been
Yep.
that for a while.
So actually, there's Rob McCord, the pastor there, wants to meet Stan, and he's on sabbatical, and that meeting won't happen until August or something, so they can get together and see what Outlook's talking about.
But you're talking about, so where the
Yeah, let me-
island is,
So
right,
this-
right there?
This here
Grassy area?
is what I'm talking about. This slopes down, this is about a 7-to-1 slope right here. And there's pine trees up here, and that's a swing set there, there's boat docks here. That's the island where you put the band. This is parking out here, if you will. And this is all sloping grassy side thing where you could see people, and this is kind of a natural amphitheater. The sound would be down almost 20 feet below grade here, so it's not gonna really go anywhere. And these people in here would be all about it. There's nothing else around for anybody to object to. So, yeah, there's seating and parking and power, and you could have music events there. And then for the triathlon, swimming would be this length of the lake. And you can put dozens of lanes there, up and down the lake, and they could park up in here, and then they can bike to their heart's content, going back through Colonnade and down 700 north over to Greenfield. They can go for 50 miles if you want. Running, same thing. We actually have a full path around the lake, so laps around the lake could be run, and it's about a mile loop. So it'd be 10 miles, that'd be a 10-mile run. And that's, you can kind of see the path on top of this. This is actually a 20-foot high mound here. And we have a pedestrian right away along here on top of the mound that comes around here, and then we go around here, and then we go down 700 north here, and then we have this trail 12-foot wide on Colonnade on this side they could run on, and they could come around here, and so we have a running track if you want, about a mile loop. So it could work, I think. It's just a way to kind of jumpstart programs, things we don't have yet, use things that are there.
Why is the one building sitting empty? Was it a spec building, or what was the deal?
spec industrial.
They just don't have a tenant.
It was spec industrial. There's about 35% vacancy rate down there right now. So they just, I don't know what kind of marketing they've been doing, but there's just not demand for it right now. So the wave hit and they missed it.
Yeah.
Well, they also got hit by a tornado, which they had to delay them an entire year. So they kind of ended at the end of the wave, and now they're just, and they're a little north than everyone else. They're the most north industrial building.
Yeah.
So from a cargo standpoint, you got to come the furthest north, and extra miles mean extra money. So
You could play indoor football in there probably if you
Yeah,
Got a rug.
it's probably 3 football fields long. It's,
Yeah, it's a
long.
huge-
it's a big building.
We need money to make it into something.
Yes.
Well, is the building across from Mount Vernon Middle School that the school did performance, whatever, is that still going?
Yeah.
You mean the
Thanks.
field,
Yeah.
the field house?
Yeah,
No,
Yeah,
across from the school.
there's still stuff
Oh,
there.
the other one.
Yeah,
Yeah, the PEC,
Oh,
I mean, the
yeah.
football team. and
performance, whatever.
All,
Okay.
all
Okay.
of the sports team, well, a lot of the sports
we haven't done
teams
enough touring
practice
yet.
and work out.
Okay.
They share that space constantly.
Okay.
Because there's just not enough gym space
Okay.
between the middle school and the high school.
I think they're good ideas. I think it requires time, effort, and money to make any of them happen. Do we have those resources? for sharing. Good
Yeah,
ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, the triathlon idea, I kinda like that.
Mhm.
I can do that probably with little funds.
Yeah.
You know, work with the HOA. and
That would actually
figure out
generate money. Entry fees are pretty stiff, like $100 a piece or something.
There's a nice transit, this is a parking lot for Champion Lake here, so when you're doing your triathlon, when you're going from either running to swimming or into biking, you need staging area, so that actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, I think this is Outlook's parking here, and then
Sorry.
go up the other way, that's McCordsville Elementary School, and then there's a running track over there, and then they have all that parking, which I'm sure Dr. Parker would let us in there on a weekend or evening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what kind of demand there is for triathlons?
It's a niche market,
It-
but there isn't a venue around here, so there aren't any around here.
Yeah, it depends, if you partner with one of the major group, there's Tough Mudder and all the others, there's different groups. I wouldn't necessarily say we do McCordsville Parks triathlon. You could, but you might want to find one of those groups that coordinates it for you and work with them on the route and all the logistics and kind of partner. Because in our 5K, we get about 110, 120 people every year. So, but this is a different group of people.
Yeah, these are intense athletes.
Yeah, I mean, my son swims with a ranked triathlete, so I mean they're out there. I'm not one of them, in case you were curious. So, but I respect them because it's difficult. So I like that idea. We'd have to dig into the logistics of it. All right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion?
Just a note here before we go. So we will find out a Ready To update. So we had submitted from the town kind of a phase 2 of McCord Square with the intent that if we were able to, we thought long shot at best, we got the second most money in Ready 1. So we were grateful to be able to get that done. So we submitted basically the Central Green project. It's probably not on here, which is the bigger park tied to a project we're working in phase 2 that would be the private investment portion of it. And we're just now beginning to negotiate, thinking what do we have to lose, right? We actually ranked really well. We ranked a 1, and all 1s were considered top ranking for money. There were 3 very large Indianapolis projects that they were hoping to shift funding to a different pool of funds, if you will. There's some Lilly money. All that being said, that I was supposed to get something today, I did not get it, but on Wednesday we have the Central Indiana Regional Development Authority meeting where we're supposed to vote on our Ready To project list to send to the Indiana Economic Development Corp. And I was supposed to have the list to see if we were still on it as a recommended group. So we made it through the first review. We ranked high. We were in the list, but we're towards the bottom because we did receive money. If they were able to shift the funding of those Indianapolis ones, we had a really good shot. We had originally asked for, I think, 3.2 million. They asked if everyone could cut 20% because we didn't get as much ready funds from the state as we were anticipating. And so we, of course, said yes. We'll figure that out. And so we have submitted for $2.6 million grant through Ready To. If by chance we get it, which we have a better shot than we thought we did, we would immediately look for a contract to do some design work. You obviously know we have the concept. Concept was kind of grandiose and everything, so we would look in that first $2.6 million to do the grading, to do the utility work underground, and as much of the hardscape as possible, so that in particular phase 1 we could move the market and additional parking for the coffee and cars and get some actual programming up there, and then do as much after that as we can with that money. So that would be the goal. We look to be in a pretty decent spot, but we have not seen the final list. So we'll keep you informed by the next. The other caveat to this is just because CERTA recommends it, IEDC, Indiana Economic Development Corporation, reserve the right to pick the final projects. So they can reject any ones they want or add in their own projects they want to. So it's not a done deal by any ways, but we're still very much in the hunt and on the project list, and we scored well, and that's because we've taken the time to prepare ourselves. That's how we got Ready 1. We were ready to go. We had the what they needed, and Ready 2, we had a concept plan. We had phases. We knew what we wanted to do for the most part, and so that's a lot further than a lot of communities. So that scored it well for us. So I'll let you know by next meeting. We'll have an answer one way or the other. We should. So. And that being said, the next meeting you'll hear a lot more from Stan, a lot less from me. So you're welcome.
Great. So next meeting, July 8th. And
Yes. Yes.
brings us to the end of our agenda. Motion to adjourn.
I'll move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right.